Hey there everybody, Scudder here today and I hope you guys are doing great. So today I want to do just a quick tutorial on how to grow potatoes in containers. This is really easy, and if you don't have a lot of garden space, this is something that you can do whether you live in a small house or an apartment or something like that. All you need is some containers, some potatoes, and some soil, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So I'm going to flip the camera around and I'm going to show you guys what I've done on one of these, and it's really simple and really easy. So let me turn the camera around here. Okay, so as you guys see right here, I've got this is basically just a standard tote, and in just a minute I'll show you some examples of some other things that you can use, but this is just a standard tote. And what I've done is I've taken the tote, and if you can tell, let's try to get over here in the sun a little bit better. I've drilled holes right there, right there, right there. I've come around the side and I've drilled a series of holes, and I did this all the way around and also on the bottom. The reason you want to drill your holes when you're planting potatoes is for two reasons. One, if you have these outside and it rains, then if you don't have the holes drilled, then your container is going to fill up with water and you're going to drown out your potatoes. So you want to make sure you've got drainage all the way around, plus on the bottom as well, so that your water can drain out. The other reason for drilling holes on this particular type of planting when you're doing potatoes is that the potatoes, as they're growing, the soil needs air to be able to breathe. So that's why you want to drill your holes around. Now, you can use just about any type of soil. You want to make sure you use something with a fertilizer. What I've done in this one is I'm using just kind of a mix, and I use Miracle-Gro garden soil so that it has the Miracle-Gro nutrients in it. And I also use just a regular potting soil and then some topsoil. And one thing about potatoes is that they need an acidic soil, when they're growing. So you want your oil to be a little acidy. Now you can see this is kind of already mixed in. If you don't have acidic soil, one way to get that is really simple and really easy, and that is to use some pine straw. Now what I did, you can see I've got some pine straw here, and I just went under a pine tree, and any pine tree will do, and raked up some of the pine straws. And what I'm going to do is just put it in my bucket here on top of that. And as you add your layers, you're going to also do the same thing for each layer. Now what you want to use when you're growing these is you want to use seed potatoes. There's different kinds of potatoes, and you can usually find these at any gardening store, co-op, farmer's store, anything like that. It's best to use seed potatoes. Now you can use potatoes that come from the grocery store, but you're not going to get as good a yield as if you get seed potatoes. And if you'll notice on this one, if you're not familiar with what a potato does and how it makes its plants, if you'll notice all these little notches, these little things growing up, those are actually the eyes of a potato. And the more eyes you have on a potato, of course, the better, because that's what you're going to use to grow your potatoes with. Now what you want to do is you want to cut each eye off. Now you don't want to cut just the eye, you want to make sure you get a piece of the potato with it, and I'm going to show you an example of that. Right here you can see, if I can hold them here, two different examples of what I've done with that. And what I did was I just found the eye, and I just cut a piece of the potato off. You want to make sure that each piece that you plant has got one of the eyes on it. Now these have been sitting in a bag for quite a while, so that's why the eyes are so big. Sometimes they may just be small, like that right there, if you can see. But you really want to have a good eye on these. Now these are really simple. You need to just fill your bucket with about 4 to 6 inches of soil, whatever you're going to use. And then when you plant these, you just want to put them in there, kind of put them down, make sure the eye's going up when you plant them. And I usually in a bucket this size, I usually put about 4, maybe 5 to this type bucket. You don't want to overcrowd it because then you'll get too many. So let me show you here how I'm doing that. And basically what I'm doing is I'm just taking them and I'm kind of pushing them down into the soil there, like that. And then you're just going to want to cover these up. Just like that. Just cover them up. And you can add a little bit more soil if you want to. Now as these grow, these will start growing. And as they start to grow up, they'll put leaves on and all of that. And then you're going to want to come back when they get, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 inches tall, and you're going to want to add another layer of soil on top of that. And then then it'll grow more, and then you'll add another layer until you get to the top. And the reason that you want to do that is because each time you add a layer of soil, you're covering up that main stem and leaves, and the potatoes are going to grow from the stem. So the more times you can cover up the stem, the more potatoes that you're going to yield. And when you're done doing this at the end of the season, usually when the potatoes start to flower, then you know it's time to harvest. And all you got to do then is just take this, dump it out, and then there you've got all your potatoes. Now we're going to walk over here to the other part of the garden real quick, just to show you guys just some different containers that I've used. You can see I've got some more potatoes down there that I've got to plant. Now this is an example of just some of the stuff that I've used. I've got an old tote there that I've used. That's an old plastic barrel that I used. That right there is a garbage can, and I'm using all of those to grow potatoes. And you can even use 5-gallon buckets. If you're going to use a 5-gallon bucket, I would suggest probably 1 plant for that 5-gallon bucket. In bigger containers like this, you can get a few more plants. You just want to be careful not to overcrowd the plants, because then they won't produce as well. So anyway, one more tip. If you're saving your soil from year to year, when you plant potatoes, you don't want to use your potato soil, the soil that you used, on other crops, and you don't want to plant potatoes back in them again. You can save the soil, but you need to save it for 2, maybe 3 years, because if the potatoes have any kind of blight or anything like that, that will get into the soil. And if you try to replant in that again next year, then whatever you plant could get the blight, eventually till you just kill the soil. So usually on potatoes, what I do is I just use that soil to fill up holes around the property, or just to kind of smooth out, to level out some of the land. So anyway, that's just some tips on how to grow potatoes. It's really simple, it's really easy. Make sure you keep them watered, because you want to make sure, especially since they're in the totes and in the containers, they're going to need a little bit more water. Because they're not going to be able to get the moisture from the ground. So you need to make sure you keep them watered regularly. Other than that, it's pretty simple. So hope that helps you guys. I appreciate you watching. You guys take care. God bless, and we'll talk to you soon. Hey there everybody, Scudder here today, and I hope you guys are doing great. So today I want to do just a quick tutorial on how to grow potatoes in containers. This is really easy, and if you don't have a lot of garden space, this is something that you can do whether you live in a small house or an apartment or something like that. All you need is some containers, some potatoes, and some soil, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So I'm going to flip the camera around, and I'm going to show you guys what I've done on one of these, and it's really simple and really easy. So let me turn the camera around here. Okay, so as you guys see right here, I've got this is basically just a standard tote.